10th best team in the National Football League entering week 1 is the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are the 10th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So few teams have as much momentum as the Packers have coming out of last season. They start 3-6. It looks like the sky is falling. And then from week 11 on, Jordan Love plays like he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Between week 11 and that playoff loss to the San Francisco 49ers, Jordan Love, 23 touchdowns, 3 picks, passer rating over 100, and the Packers only lost, I think, 2 or 3 games in that stretch. They were excellent, and Jordan Love proved, and you saw what he got. They got the bag this offseason, proved he's absolutely a franchise quarterback in this league. The Packers receiving core, I think, is quietly one of the bigger stories in the NFL. You got Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks. They got a lot of talented guys in that group. Even though they lost Aaron Jones to the Vikings, even though they lost A.J. Dillon to a season-ending neck injury, Josh Jacobs is still a beast. We saw what he did in Las Vegas. And Marshawn Lloyd, I really like out of USC. I think he's going to fit the Packers very well. Matt LaFleur is a proven head coach in this league. I don't particularly trust the defense. That, to me, is going to be their Achilles heel this season. But the Packers are going to score a ton of points this year. They are the 10th best team in the National Football League. At number 9, a team in a very similar spot momentum-wise and progression-wise as the Packers, it is the Houston Texans. The Texans are the 9th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So, CJ Stroud is a very trendy MVP pick, kind of like Jordan Love this year. We saw what he did a season ago, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, being able to lead the league in touchdown to interception ratio. Tank Dell is back, healthy, ready to go. You got Nico Collins, who's proved himself over the course of his very young NFL career. You add Stephon Diggs, who I think is like the second or third best receiver, given how talented that group is in Houston. Will Anderson on defense, Stingley on defense. I got a lot of playmakers on that side of the ball, coached by D'Amico Ryans, who's a defensive specialist, but has also hired Bobby Slovic, who's great offensive coordinator. The Texans got a good running game, Dameon Pierce. There's not much not to like about this roster. The only thing that held me back from them making a deep playoff run when I made my predictions on Monday is I still think they're just a little too young to make a deep run. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be like the 2013 Seahawks and then just light the league on fire. It's very well within the realm of possibility. Love their quarterback, love their roster, love their coach. But their youth is the only thing that holds me back in the Texans this year. They are the 9th best team in the National Football League. At number 8, a team we just talked about a few minutes ago, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are the 8th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So we know Lamar Jackson is the league MVP. We know John Harbaugh is a Super Bowl champion coach, is one of the better ones in the NFL. But my only concern, as good as this Ravens roster is, my only concern is defensively. I still think they'll be good. Not quite as special as they were a year ago. Mike McDonald, they lost, who became the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. They lose Patrick Queen. They lose Kyle Van Noy, and they lose Jadeveon Clowney. They also lost multiple offensive linemen in the offseason. So these are key holes that the Ravens are going to have to fill. Odell Beckham also left this past offseason to go to the Dolphins. Zay Flowers going to have to take that next step. Mark Andrews, they're going to need to stay healthy. Derrick Henry, I don't think it's quite the acquisition that he was made out to be. He's still productive. He's still great. Don't get me wrong. But once a running back gets around age 30, they don't tend to get better. He'll be productive. So will Lamar Jackson. But I think the Ravens, again, I've got him as a 10-7, 7-seed playoff team this year just because of all the losses and the psychological edge the Chiefs have over them. But it's too good of a roster, too good of a quarterback and coach for me to keep them out of the top 10. The Ravens are the 8th best team in the National Football League. At number 7, it is the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are the 7th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. We know who Josh Allen is, bona fide top 5 quarterback in the NFL. A lot of folks are really low on the Bills. There's a lot of folks that do shows like mine that would not have them in their top 10, much less their top 7. My case is this. Josh Allen, that's self-explanatory. Even though you lose Stephon Diggs, you still have the best tight end duo, I think, potentially in the NFL, in Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. You have the best running game you've had in the Josh Allen era because of an improved offensive line, because of James Cook, and in large part because of Joe Brady understanding what he did with Joe Burrow at LSU, what he did as the interim OC a season ago with the Buffalo Bills taking over for Ken Dorsey, who was fired, really helped change the identity of this Bills team offensively and got them into that 5-game winning streak to make the playoffs last year. Defensively, yeah, they lost pieces. I get it. Matt Milano in particular. Sean McDermott's still an elite defensive coach. I have questions about him, if he's able to get the Bills to the next level. I don't have questions about his ability to coach defense, even going back to his days as the defensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. So for that reason, I do think the Bills will win the AFC East. I don't really buy any of the teams as a Super Bowl contender in that division, but I like where Buffalo's at. They've got pieces that they can build towards kind of getting back to that upper echelon, like top 2, top 3 teams in the conference. The Bills are the 7th best team in the National Football League. At number 6, they will return to prominence. As much as I hate it as a Steelers fan, it is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are the 6th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. So you look at what Joe Burrow's been able to do throughout the course of his career when he's healthy, which thus far has only been 2 years. 2021, he leads the Bengals to a division title. They go to the Super Bowl, and because of an atrocious offensive line, lose to the Rams. The next year, still a bad offensive line. Burrow has the best statistical season of his career. Jamar Chase is great, Joe Mixon, and they go to the AFC Championship game, lose by the skin of their teeth to the Kansas City Chiefs, who go on to win the Super Bowl. They lost Joe Mixon this offseason. Again, the running back position, unless you're Christian McCaffrey, is simply not as valuable as it used to be. The Bengals, the last few years, have done all they can to try and bolster that offensive line. I still like what they have in terms of having Jamar Chase, who he practiced today. It looks like he'll be back. T. Higgins is a Bengal today. He's going to be a Bengal this season. I'm not sure about next year, but he's there today. And defensively, Lou Anarumo is one of the best defensive coordinators in the National Football League. Zach Taylor is fine. He's a middle-of-the-road, average NFL head coach. As brutal as the AFC North is, it's hard to bet against the second-best QB in the league when he's healthy. It's hard to bet against a guy in Jamar Chase who's a top 5 receiver, bar none, in the NFL. They still have a ton of pieces from that 2-year stretch where they made it 2 conference title games and a Super Bowl. The Bengals are the 6th best team in the National Football League. At number 5, move the top 5, and I'm probably higher in this team than fans of this team. It is, if there's that many to begin with, it is the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are the 5th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. Justin Herbert is special. I think anybody who watches him for more than 5 snaps recognizes that. Monster arm, accuracy, mobility, size, all of it. But he was held back, particularly a season ago, by not only an abysmal head coach in Brandon Staley, but an abysmal offensive coordinator, one of the worst in the NFL, in Kellen Moore. Yes, the Chargers lost Mike Williams, and they lost Keenan Allen this offseason. There's no clear-cut number 1 guy for the squad on the outside. Here's what I do know. Jim Harbaugh's taken over this group. What does that mean? That means the Chargers are going to be a lot more physical on both sides of the ball because that's how Michigan was. That's Jim Harbaugh's brand of football. He wants to run the ball. He wants to work off play action, take the pressure off a guy as elite as Justin Herbert is. And the Chargers, come on, they cannot be as bad defensively as they were a year ago, especially when you got 2 of the best pass rushers in the league in Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. I think the Chargers will be great. Jim Harbaugh wins everywhere he goes and wins everywhere he goes immediately. If you look especially the last couple of stops with the 49ers taking an atrocious, atrocious roster, but an irrelevant team to the NFC title game immediately. Taking an irrelevant Michigan Wolverines football program to 10 wins in his first 2 years and ending his time there with a natty. Harbaugh will be one of the most lethal quarterback-coach duos and combinations in the NFL. I think they're going to go all the way to the AFC Championship game. Love this team. Love everything about them. I love the culture. Give them a couple of years, and that team can win the Super Bowl. Maybe next year if they ace another draft. The Chargers. I believe in them. I believed a ton of the Lions last year. They came through for me, and I believed a ton of the Chargers this year, and I think they will do the same. To number 4, arguably the best roster potentially in the NFL, it is the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are the 4th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. This week was huge for San Francisco. You retain Trent Williams, who signed a long-term extension. He might be the most valuable player on your offense. You sign Brandon Ayuk, who... that contract could hurt San Francisco in the future. I've detailed that, but if we're looking just at this year, and particularly this week 1, it's still a loaded roster. Again, offensively, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey back from injury, Brandon Ayuk back from holdout, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, stacked offense and stacked defensively. You have Nick Bosa, who I think is going to have a bounce-back year in 2024. You have Armstead. You have guys... like Fred Warner, the clearly the best linebacker in the NFL. Talanoa Hufanga is going to come back soon from injury. The same can be said about Dre Greenlaw. Both guys I love, and we know Charvarius Ward is an elite corner in this league as well. I love Kyle Shanahan. I think there's the idea that he's going somehow in the hot seat this year is absurd. I like Brock Purdy. I don't love Brock Purdy. I think the situation around him, he's far better than Jimmy G. I feel like I have to clarify that every time. He's far better than Jimmy Garoppolo ever thought about being. That said, A lot of his reliance is on that Kyle Shanahan West Coast offense, on that supporting cast. And with this particular group, it's do or die for San Francisco. They have to win, not go to the Super Bowl. They got to win the Super Bowl this year. Otherwise, this kind of era is a bit of a failure. Not a failure, but a huge disappointment given how close they've come on so many occasions, because they're going to have to start stripping a lot of those pieces given how this Ayuk contract is kind of, not handicapped them, but put them in a situation where when they pay Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel's gone, a lot of pieces are gone. It's a do or die year for San Francisco. They are the fourth best team in the National Football League. At number 3, staying in the division, and a team I think is going to make the NFC Championship game, it is the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are the third best team in the National Football League, and here is why. The only thing that held me back from picking the Rams over the Lions to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC is just concern about Matthew Stafford's health. Because when Matthew Stafford's healthy, we saw what he did his first year after getting traded out of, at that time, a poorly run Lions organization, goes to the Rams year 1, wins the Super Bowl. Injuries halted his 2022 season, and in 2023, in the second half, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, like those were your 3 best quarterbacks in the sport in that stretch. He's still got a monster arm. He's still as gifted a thrower of the football as we've seen in this generation. Cooper Kupp's going to be back, I would assume, healthier now than he has been. Puka Nacua is my Offensive Player of the Year pick. I think Puka is going to light the league on fire. I mean, come on. As a receiver in the NFL, as athletic, as good of a route runner as Puka Nacua is, as high character as he is, could you ask for a better coach in Sean McVay and a better quarterback in Matthew Stafford? I guess you could read him a Mahomes, but that's not the case. This is about the second best option there. Rams defense is really good. They have a lot of young pieces, even though they lost Aaron Donald. I love them taking the pass rusher out of Florida State. Their secondary is solid. Front 7 is kind of the strength of that group. And offensively, you got Kyron Williams to run the football, an improved offensive line over the last couple of years. Love everything about the Rams. My only concern is Stafford's health. They are the third best team in the National Football League. At number 2, stand up. Who is it? Who is it?
Kneecap. 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 Kneecap.
The Detroit Lions. The Lions are the second best team in the National Football League, and here's why. Listen, I'm a Steelers fan. I feel like adopted by the city of Detroit for my longtime belief in this team over the last year and a half. But this Lions team is loaded, top to bottom. Jared Goff, I think, is like right there, like the 10th, 11th best quarterback in the NFL. When he has a clean pocket, he looks like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And the good news for him is Detroit's got the best O-line in professional football. Penei Sewell, after Trent Williams, I think is the best tackle in the NFL. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, who had a great rookie season. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, the most underrated receiver in the National Football League. Jamison Williams is going to have his breakout year in 2024. Sam Laporta is going to dominate the NFL by season's end. Sam Laporta will be regarded as the second best tight end in the NFL. He will surpass George Kittle. I think there's a possibility that he will actually be better than Kelsey, just given Travis Kelce's advanced age and stage of his career. But Kelsey will be considered better just out of respect for him in the Chiefs dynasty. Sam Laporta is awesome. This defense got a lot better. The Terrion Arnold pick in the first round was excellent. Love that pick by the Detroit Lions. Brad Holmes is a top 5 general manager in the NFL. For him to take a dead franchise in 2021, and by 2024, they're mine and a lot of folks' pick to win the NFC this year. Love everything about the Lions. They're going to keep the thing rolling. Dan Campbell, by the way, Ben Johnson, the best offensive coordinator in football. Them keeping him is really kind of what was that last piece, that last bit of belief for me to put the Lions in Super Bowl 59. Detroit, today, the best team in the NFC and the second best team in the National Football League, and that leaves number 1. It's a little bit anticlimactic. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are the best team in the National Football League, and here's why. So let's see. They got the best quarterback in the world. They got the best coach in the world. They got the best tight end in the world. They got the best interior defensive lineman in the world. They've got Trent McDuffie, one of the best corners in the world. Offensive line is good. They've got the weakness of the Chiefs last year was the receiving corps. Well, they add Hollywood Brown. Rashee Rice looks like he's not going to get suspended. Obviously, Travis Kelce, when he brings to the table. Xavier Worthy, I'm skeptical of, in large part because of his size. But as I've said all offseason, he's with Patrick Mahomes. He's with Andy Reid. They'll make it work. They'll find a way to make him work and make him a focal point of that offense. Now, Hollywood Brown is not going to play tomorrow, so that does factor into Kansas City as well. There's not much not to like about this Chiefs team. Are they the single best roster in the league relative to Detroit? San Francisco or the Rams, the three teams that I have behind them. No, as I always say, it's a quarterbacks league, and no one on planet Earth has a better one than the Kansas City Chiefs have. The Chiefs are the best team in the National Football League. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.